Good evening. My name is Sharon Worley, Nye County Sheriff. Today we're discussing the facts and circumstances as we know them for the second officer-involved shooting in 2020. This shooting occurred on March 25th, 2020 at approximately 10:42 p.m. and it was a fatal. The officers involved were detectives and they were wearing their body-worn cameras, which were activated. We'll show you that footage in a minute. In addition, there's a home surveillance from a neighboring residence that captured the shooting, and we'll look at that footage as well. The involved detectives were Brian Cooper, who has been a Nye County Sheriff's deputy for 5 years, and Logan Gibbs, who's been a deputy for 11 years. Both detectives Gibbs and Cooper are currently assigned to Street Crimes, Narcotics, and Gang Unit, and are members of the Special Weapons and Tactics Team. Detective Cooper was carrying and used his issued firearm, a Glock Model 17 9mm semi-automatic handgun equipped with a tactical light. And Detective Gibbs used his issued Glock Model 17 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The suspect in this officer-involved shooting was Matthew Moore, age 19, of Pahrump. Mr. Moore had a violent criminal history which included domestic battery, robbery, and burglary. Mr. Moore was pronounced deceased on the scene. Had he survived, Moore's charges would have been attempted murder of a peace officer, attempted robbery, battery with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, discharging a firearm where persons may be injured, and discharging a firearm from within the structure. The firearm Mr. Moore used in this shooting was a Mossberg Model 500 12-gauge pump-action shotgun with a pistol grip. This incident originated at an address on Surrey Lane in Pahrump, Nevada. On March 25, 2020, at approximately 9:43 p.m., NCSO dispatch received a 911 call regarding a stabbing that had just occurred at the address on Surrey Lane in Pahrump. NCSO detectives interviewed the person on scene and learned that the suspect in the stabbing was Matthew Moore. The investigation revealed that Matthew attempted to rob the victim of the belt he was wearing by knife point. During the robbery attempt, Moore cut the victim's neck with the knife. A records check indicated that Moore had a violent history with law enforcement, to include a past prior arrest for robbery. Detectives learned that Moore resided on Warehouse Road in Pahrump. Detectives Gibbs and Cooper went to the Warehouse Road address to interview Moore regarding his involvement in the attempted robbery that occurred on Surrey Lane. Detective Cooper knocked on the front door, and Detective Gibbs stood on the north side of the residence while Detective Cooper made contact with Moore's mother at the front door. Moore's mother told Detective Cooper she had to put the dogs up and that she would return in a moment. Several seconds later, Moore's mother opened the door again to speak with Detective Cooper. As Moore's mother approached Detective Cooper in the doorway, Moore approached from behind his mother, armed with a shotgun. Moore pointed the shotgun at Detective Cooper and fired a round from the shotgun over his mother's left shoulder, striking Detective Cooper in the chest. Then Moore fired a second round at Detective Cooper. Detective Cooper's ballistic vest was effective in stopping 2 rounds that Moore fired. Moore then approached Detective Cooper, racked a 3rd round into the chamber of the shotgun, and fired the 3rd round at Detective Cooper. Detective Cooper was able to return fire and fired 2 rounds from his duty-issued handgun. However, Detective Cooper's gunfire was ineffective at stopping Moore. During this exchange, Detective Cooper fell and landed on his back on the ground. Moore stood over Detective Cooper, lying helpless on his back as Moore racked the 4th round into the chamber of the shotgun and fired it point blank at Detective Cooper. Moore racked a 5th round into his shotgun. Moore pointed the shotgun down at Detective Cooper, preparing to execute the detective. Before Moore was able to fire the 5th round at Detective Cooper, Detective Gibbs engaged Moore, firing his handgun multiple times. Detective Gibbs fired approximately 13 times striking Moore approximately a dozen times, hitting him in the back, arm, and once in the back of the head. Let's watch the body camera footage from both Detective Gibbs and Detective Cooper. The first video you'll see is from Detective Cooper's body camera.
Sorry.
Hello.
Let's slow the footage down. The second video is from Detective Gibbs' body camera.
Back four, shots fired, shots fired! Officer down! Stay down, Cooper. Stay down, stay down. Easy, easy.
Let's watch the video slowed down. Let's watch Detective Gibbs' camera footage slowed down even further and zoomed in on the area where Detective Cooper is laying. This video shows you more clearly Moore's execution attempt of Detective Cooper, just before Detective Gibbs returned fire. As I mentioned earlier, we were able to obtain video footage from a home video security camera from a neighboring residence across the street. During the investigation, we identified that Moore had several anti-law enforcement Facebook posts. One of the posts is shown here. Moore advocates the shooting of law enforcement during a traffic stop. Additionally, a video was located on his social media page in which Moore was utilizing a shotgun shooting a pile of rubbish on the ground in a similar manner that is witnessed on body-worn camera as he advances and shoots Detective Cooper. Detective Cooper is in stable condition at University Medical Center where he's recovering. Detective Gibbs is on paid leave pursuant to Nye County Sheriff's Office standard protocol, and Mr. Moore's mother, who was also a victim, was extremely cooperative through this investigation. As you listen to his body-worn camera, you hear her beg Moore to stop advancing on Detective Cooper. Our thoughts and prayers are with her and her family during this trying time.